Hello students, today we are going to see a problem based on resistance. Okay, let us see a problem. Here the question says find the resistance of 100 meters of a copper wire. Okay, we have 1000 meters of a copper wire. Okay, and it has area of cross section as 25 millimeter square mm square. Okay, so he has given the resistance of the copper as 1 by 58 times ohm per meter. For 1 meter this is the resistance. Okay, and for 1 mm square. Okay, for 1 meter and 1 mm square of area of cross section, this is the resistance. The resistance of the copper is 1 by 58 times ohm per meter and 1 mm square of cross section. Okay, then what will be the resistance of another wire of same material 3 times as long and 1/2 of area of cross section. Okay, that means what is the given data? First of all, you have to, whenever you have to do any problematic thing, you have to write down the given data. What is the data given? So what is the given data here? Find the resistance of 1000 meters. That means we have to find the resistance. Let us take it as R1 because we have individual resistances here. Okay, so I am considering I have to find R1. Okay, and he has mentioned the length as 1000 meters, so I am considering it as L1. Okay, it is around 1000 meters. Okay, and area of cross section A1. Okay, A1 as 25 millimeter square. Okay, and then he has mentioned the resistance of copper is R2. I am considering it as R2. It is 1 by 58 and the length he mentioned as 1 meter. That means L2 I am taking it as 1 meter. Okay, and area of cross section as A2, that I am taking it as 1 mm square, millimeter square. Okay, and finally what will be the resistance of another wire of same material, that means same copper material, as 3 times as long. That means I am going to find R3, which is 3 times longer than my first resistance R1. Okay, and area of cross section, sorry, I have to find the R3 here. I have to find R3 with the length L3 is 3 times L1. Can I write like this? It is mentioned as 3 times as long, and area of cross section as 1/2. 1/2 means A3 is half of our A1. Okay, so these two are related to one copper material. That means I can write it as, so he has mentioned that R2 is equal to, the resistance of copper is 1 by 58 ohm per meter. For 1 meter it is 1 by 58. So in the question we have 1000. For 1000 meters, for 1 meter it is 1 by 58. For 1 meter what will be the value? It will be 1000 times. We have to multiply, cross multiply. That means 1000 times 58 by 1. Is it right? 1000 by 1 by 58. 1000 by 1 by 58 is for 1000 meters. The resistance for 1000 meters. And here the cross section, area of cross section is 1. And here our required area of cross section is 25. Okay, that will be 1 by 25. So this is the value of our resistance R1 actually. You can find it directly like this, but we can proceed with our expression for resistance. Okay, let us see how can we find it. Okay, let us divide R1 with, let me write down the expression for resistance is rho times L by A. Okay, let me consider small a for area of cross section. Okay, so let us write R1 will be equal to, resistance will be common for all the material because we are using one copper material here, so the resistivity will be same for all the resistance. So rho into length will be different for each and everything. Rho 2 will be R, so R2 will be rho times L2 by A2, and R3 will be rho times L3 by A3. Okay, so let us divide R1 by R2. R1, let me divide R1 with R2, that will be rho times L1 by A1, rho times L2 by A2. Okay, this is R1 by R2. So the values of L1, A1, let us substitute them. So here rho get cancels. Okay, the rho is common on the both because it is same material. Okay, the rho will be common for both the resistors, so that we are left with L1 by L2 into A2 by A1. Can I write like this? I have shifted the denominator. Okay, so let us substitute the values. Okay, L1 is 1000 meters. Dimension L1 is 1000 meters and L2 is 1 meter. My L2 is 1 meter and area of cross section A2 is 1 meter and area of cross section A1 is 25. Okay, so you can get R1 by R2. The value of R1 by R2 is how much? It is 1000 by 25 is around 40. Okay, so R1 is 40 times R2. R1 is 40 times R2. Is it? So what is the value of R2 here? 1 by 58. So this is what we have obtained earlier. R1 will be 40 times 1 by 58. So this is the value of resistance R1. So we have to find R3 here. Okay, for that I have to divide R3 by R1. That will become rho L3 by A3 by rho L, sorry, R3 by R1, rho L1 by A1. Okay, I am dividing R3 by R1 now, because I have to find R3. I got the value of R1. R1 is this one. Okay, because I have got the value of R1, I can substitute the value of R1 so that I can get R3 here. Okay, so you can cancel out the rho and rho here. The expression will become L3 by L1 times A1 by A3. Okay, so you can substitute the values. So L3 by L1 here, from this expression I can write L3 by L1 equal to 3, right? So L3 by L1 equal to 3. So that will be equal to 3 times our A1 is 25 millimeter square and A3 is here A3 by A1. From this expression you can write A3 by A1 equal to 1 by 2 or A1 by A3 equal to 2. Okay, A1 by A3 will be equal to 2, that will equal to 6. So our R3 equal to 6 times R1. Can I write like this? Okay, our R3 will be equal to 6 times R1. So let us substitute the R1 value so that we can get R3 6 times. What is the value of R1? That is 40 by 58. Okay, so this is the value of R3 here. You can cancel out here. This can be 2 3 times 2 2 2 2 2 9. Okay, this will be 120 by 29. Okay, this is the value of R3 here. Okay, this is about finding the resistance. Okay, all you have to need is this resistance expression. Okay, you can divide them and you can get the values, and resistivity is common for same material, because he mentioned in the question that R3 is having same material as R1 and R2. So you don't need to bother about rho here. If they mention any other material, they will give the value of rho 2. If there is another material, if they use any another material, they will use rho 2. Okay, so this is about resistance. Now let us see one important concept in electrical engineering, that is Ohm's law. Okay, so in the previous classes I have explained you about electric potential and potential difference. Okay, so what are they? Electric potential is a charged body, a capacity of charged body to move another charges. The capacity of a charged body to move another charges. Okay, what is electric potential difference? Potential difference is nothing, difference in potentials. Okay, whenever you have difference in two potentials, that is called potential difference. Okay, now let us see what is happens. So let us take two water tanks here. Okay, these are two water tanks. Let us assume these are two water tanks. Okay, so I will be having water completely filled in my tank 1. This is my tank 1, this is tank 2. Okay, so this is the tank 1 has water in it, the tank 2 is empty here. Okay, now if we can somehow manage to connect these two tanks with a pipe, so what will happen here? Some of the water will flow to tank number 1. Okay, some of the water up to this level will flow to tank number 1. Okay, so instead of placing the hole here, if you keep the hole here, what happens? Okay, instead of keeping the hole here, if I keep the hole here, what happens? The water in the tank 1 will start flowing to tank 2. Okay, and you can observe that the pressure of water in the first case, okay, the pressure of water in the first case is less compared to pressure of the water in the second case, because the whole potential energy of the water in the first tank will be applied here. Okay, because here in the first case there is very less amount of pressure will apply to the water, so that it will somehow flow into the second tank. But if you make the hole here, you will have high pressure due to the potential energy stored in the tank 1. You will have high pressure to the water, so that water will move faster compared to first place. That means the water will start flowing and it will fill until and unless there is equal amount of water in both the tanks. Okay, the water will flow until unless there is equal amount of water in both the tanks. Okay, so after the tank 1 water and tank 2 water is equal, the water will stop flowing. There will be no flow of water because there is no pressure difference. Okay, whenever you have to move anything, if you have to transfer one form of energy to another form, you have to have some difference. For a temperature transfer, you have to have temperature difference between two bodies. If I have a body with 50 degree temperature, okay, if I have a body, another body of having 30 degree temperature, if I make contact of both, somehow if I connect both the materials, the heat will transfer from high temperature body to low temperature body. Okay, this transfer will happen until and unless both the bodies have equal temperature. The equal temperature, total temperature 80, 50 plus 30, and equal temperature will be half of them. That is, so the temperature transfer will take place until and unless both the material will have equal amount of temperature. So this is about temperature. If you want to transfer air, okay, if you want to transfer air, you will have to have high pressure medium, high pressure and low pressure. If you have to pump air from high pressure one place to another place, you will need high pressure from the starting place, and you have to need low pressure to the destination place. Okay, then only the air or any water or temperature happens. That means if any medium to flow from one place to another place, you will need some difference in the pressure applied. Okay, that is the whole idea of mentioning these things. That means in a similar way, if we have to transfer electric charges, if I connect these two potentials with a conductor, this is my conductor. Okay, as you already know that conductor has many number of free electrons. Okay, if you move these electrons, the movement of electrons is nothing but electric current. Okay, here we have two potentials which are, let us consider it as 5 volts. Let me consider it as 5 volts, and this as plus 2 volts. Okay, let me consider these two have the potential of, let me consider it as 3 volts. Okay, so I have two charged bodies with potential of 5 volts and 3 volts individual. So I am going to connect these two potentials using a conductor. Now what happens? Here you can see that this body has high potential compared to this body. Okay, that means the electrons in the conductor will be attracted by 5 volts compared to 3 volts. That means the charges will start flow in this direction because it is positive and it is powerful compared to 3 volts. Okay, positive high powerful charges, high powerful potential will attract electrons in the conductor. Okay, that means the electrons flow in this direction. Okay, so the electrons will flow in this direction because it has higher potential compared to 3 volts. Now if I apply 4 volts here, 4 volts on both the bodies, what will happen? The potential on both the charged bodies is equal. That means this body will have same influence on the electrons as this body has. Okay, the influence of positive charge on these free electrons is same on both sides of conductor. That means the electrons has nowhere to go because the pressure applied on the both side of the conductor is same, because the electrons can't move from one place to another place because the potential is same. That means we don't have any potential difference here. If there is no potential difference, there will be no current. Okay, the potential difference is causing the current to flow. I have explained these concepts in the earlier class, right? So let us see what is Ohm's law here. Okay, what is Ohm's law here? The example here, in the example, what is it? It's saying we have two potentials here and we have a conductor connected between two potentials. Okay, here if you have this as 5 volts, this will be 3 volts. Okay, so the more is the potential difference V, the more will be the current flow. Yes or right? Yes or no? If the more is the potential difference between two ends of conductor, the more will be the current flow. Okay, if the more is the potential, the more will be the current flow. So that is what Ohm's law states. Okay, so the Ohm's law is saying that at constant temperature, the current in a conductor is proportional to potential difference between two ends of the conductor, isn't it? So this is what we have observed till now. Okay, at constant temperature is a condition because the resistance of the body, the resistance of the material is dependent on temperature. Okay, we have to keep it constant so that our resistance will be constant. That I am going to explain further. Okay, at constant temperature, the current I, we denote our current with I, right? The current I in a conductor is proportional to potential difference is nothing but V. Okay, current I in a conductor is proportional to potential difference between two ends of the conductor. That means if I have a conductor like this, so this is my conductor, copper conductor. So the current flow in the conductor will be proportional to voltage between two sides of two ends of the conductor. So voltage difference is nothing but, if this is positive and this is negative, this is nothing but a voltage source, I can say. So this will be the potential between two ends of the conductor. So the amount of current, the strength of current will be dependent on the potential difference between two end points of a conductor. That is nothing but Ohm's law. Okay, so let me write it mathematically. So it can be write mathematically as V directly proportional to my current I. So in order to replace the proportionality, I have to keep one constant, that I am keeping it as at constant resistance. Because we are keeping the resistance as constant here, we have to keep the temperature of the temperature also constant, because temperature is resistance is dependent quantity of temperature. If the temperature is variable, our resistance will be variable, and we cannot keep the resistance here as constant. So that is why you have to keep the constant temperature. So this is what we call Ohm's law. I hope you understand the concept. Ohm's law states that voltage is proportional to current under constant temperature. Okay, and you can also treat it as temperature resistance is constant. Okay, so this is about Ohm's law. I hope you understand. At constant temperature, the current in a conductor is proportional to potential difference between two ends of the conductor. So this is Ohm's law. Define one important concept in electrical engineering, that is power. Okay, power is nothing but product of voltage into current. The product of voltage, potential difference, and current is called power. Okay, you already know that, I think. So what is energy here? Energy is nothing but power into time. Power into time is nothing but P is power here. Okay, P is time. Power into time is nothing but energy. Okay, so we have a resistor. Let us consider it as a resistor R. Okay, so if I pass some current I here, I to the resistor, some amount of power will be lost. Power will be lost. Power loss across a resistor is mentioned as PR. Power loss due to across a resistor, I am making it as V times I. So how can you write here? Let us consider this V. The potential across resistor is V here. How can you write V here according to Ohm's law? By Ohm's law, what is V here? It is I times R. Okay, so if you can replace this V into this expression, that will become V will be I times R into I. That means I square R is the power loss in a resistor. Okay, I square R is the power loss in a resistor. If I is the current, okay, I is the current in the conductor, current in the resistor, current through resistor. Okay, here if you pass some current I through the resistor, some amount of power will be lost due to the heat in the resistor. There will be some heat production in the resistor if you pass some current. That heat will cause some power loss, and that will also cause some energy loss. Okay, if you have power loss due to the resistor as I square R. Okay, what is the energy loss? Energy loss will be power into time. The energy loss due to the resistor will be I square R into T. Okay, P times T, that is energy loss due to energy loss in a resistor. Okay, this is power loss across a resistor. PR is VI, which is nothing but PR is equal to I square R. Okay, this is power loss I square R. This is energy loss I square R times T. So this is about resistance here. Now let us see the second concept, that is inductance. Okay, let us see the second element in our electrical circuit analysis, that is inductance. Okay, so what is inductance here? So let us take a conductor. This is my conductor. Okay, let me take a conductor. Okay, this is a conductor. So if I wound this conductor on a magnetic material, this is a magnetic material. Okay, if I wind this conductor around this magnetic material, okay, if I wind like this, okay, so this is called a inductor. Okay, so what is a inductor? Inductor is a device. Inductor is a device which opposes change in electric current. Okay, what is the inductor definition? It is a device. Inductor is a device which opposes, what is the thing here? Which opposes change in electric current. Our resistor, okay, as our resistor opposes current, here the inductor is opposing change in current. Di by dt is nothing but change. Okay, this is change. Okay, our resistor will oppose current, but our inductor is opposing change in current. Change in current means if I have 5 amperes initially, okay, if I have 5 ampere of current, so this is a symbol of current, symbol of inductor L, and inductor is named with L. Okay, so if I pass 5 amps of current through an inductor, okay, so the conductor will pass same amount of current to the another terminal. Okay, if this current is changed to 5 amps, so 3 amps, this inductor will oppose this change in current. That means it will not accept 3 amps. Okay, it will oppose this change. That means 5 amps to 3 amps, that is nothing but 2 amps. There is a change of 2 amperes from 5 amperes to 3 amperes. So our inductor will oppose this change, and it will never flow the sudden change in current. Okay, even if you apply 3 amps, abruptly it can't change the flow in current. Okay, that is the property of inductor. That means it won't change sudden changes in current. Okay, so that is the inductor here, and its symbol is this one. This is inductor. Okay, this is letter. Inductor is named with letter. So let us see what is inductance. Inductor is a device. What is inductance? Inductance will be property of inductor. Property of material which opposes change in current. This is a property. Okay, that is device. It is property. Change in current. Okay, so this is inductance, and it is also be given the letter L. Okay, now let us see what is inductive reactance. Inductive reactance, and what is the unit for our inductor? Inductance is Henry. It is denoted with H. Unit for inductance is Henry here. Okay, so what is inductive reactance here? Okay, here our inductor will oppose change in current. Okay, the inductor or inductance will oppose change in current, but our inductive reactance will oppose flow of current. Okay, inductive reactance opposes current. Okay, it is similar to a resistance. That's why it is the units for inductive reactance are ohms. Okay, it is given as XL. Letter is XL. Okay, inductive reactance is X here. So inductive reactance is XL is equal to 2 pi FL R, which is also given as omega L. L is inductor here. Okay, 2 pi F R. F is frequency of the supply. Frequency of the current applied. Okay, so this is about inductive reactance XL, which is equal to omega L or 2 pi FL. Okay, let us see from first. Inductor is a device which opposes change in current. Okay, and inductance is the property of the material which opposes change in current, and inductive reactance opposes the current. Okay, inductor and inductance oppose change in current, but inductive reactance will oppose current. So this is about inductor. Okay, now one more thing I have to mention is here, if inductor is applied with the AC source, this is a symbol for AC source. AC means alternating current, which is a third type of current. Okay, I have given the types of current in the first class. That is, this is third current, very alternating current. Okay, alternating current means for the first half cycle it is positive, for the next half cycle it will be negative. Okay, so the current will be continuously changes. Let us symbol it as I. Okay, so due to this current flow, there will be some magnetic field induces in this inductor. Okay, inductor is nothing but a coil. Okay, some magnetic field will induce across this conductor. Okay, this magnetic field will link with the same conductor and it will produce some potential. Okay, across the inductor. Okay, this current will produce some voltage across the inductor. That voltage is called VL. V is the voltage across inductor, that is proportional to change in current di by dt. Okay, the more is the change, the more will be the voltage across the inductor. So if I have to replace the proportionality, I have to keep a constant, that I am placing L here. Okay, so this is voltage across inductor. This is voltage across inductor. Just remember this. We will be explaining it clearly in further classes. Okay. Now let us see the power absorbed by the inductor and energy stored by the inductor. For that we need to have two components here, voltage and current. Okay, you already know that induced voltage across inductor V equal to L into di by dt, where V is voltage across inductor, I is current through inductor. So if you can reshuffle the equation, that will be equal to di equal to 1 by L into V into dt. Here we need to see one thing, that here we have integration from 0 to t. That means our inductor will absorb some power or store some energy within a time period t. That's why we need to integrate between 0 to t. Okay, so if you can integrate both sides, you can get the value of current I here. Okay, integral 0 to t di equal to 1 by L integral 0 to t v dt. That will leave you with I equal to 1 by L v into t. Okay, so now let us see the power absorbed by the inductor, P equal to V into I. We know that P equal to V into I. So in place of V, we are substituting L into di by dt. That will become power absorbed by inductor. Now let us see energy stored by the inductor. So energy will be stored by inductor in specific period of time, that is t. So for that we are going to integrate from 0 to t. W equal to integral 0 to t P times dt. Okay, in place of P, we are going to replace with L into di by dt into I. Okay, if you can do that, you can see integral 0 to t L into di by dt into dt. Okay, so dt dt will cancel out. I is the variable here, that will become 0 to t L into I into di. Okay, that will be with respect to I now. So that will make I integral 0 to t I di equal to I square by 2. Okay, that will give the energy stored by the inductor W equal to 1 by 2 Li square. Okay, so the power absorbed by inductor P equal to Li into di by dt, and energy stored by inductor W equal to 1 by 2 into Li square. Okay, which is also called as half Li square. Energy stored by inductor is half Li square. This is V is nothing but voltage across inductor here. Okay, so what is the Ohm's law here? Ohm's law states that V is equal to IR. That means V proportional to I. If this is V, this will be I. So the proportionality means the curve will be linear. Okay, but in case of inductor, you can see that inductor is non-linear. Okay, if it is V, it is I. The inductor and voltage and current will be like this. It is not linear. In Ohm's law, across resistor, the V and I are linear, but in inductor, the V and I are non-linear. Okay, so this is the thing. So this is about inductance. Okay, in the next class we will be discussing capacitor. Okay.